Yananasu sorumuko sanara litara kasanara kajnayita sanajna yenesara keshna yento sorumuyas. Shandagrayita sanajna yenesara kajnoyo turmuyo sokosnoror. Sozo ormozanar alhalasandaravashnas. Sorukusanasankarakasana sanakaramakara sanar. Turmuyondo sondormoshnara ilaklamara ishnayin sanar. Sorumuya la hermasanasan arakashna inasar. Turumusundurumuya to sorumuya tarar. Termahara makasa andas andara ishnara. Horomo sundorovo sotormoshnara ilachlamara sandarva ishna inda sarma kusorovuko sonorma. Harmaka sandarva isandairma tesara illa mahrama sandarva kare sarvanam. Dormuyo sonorumu yokurmo sanar. I'm increasingly finding it difficult to communicate what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing, what I'm receiving in English or indeed in any human language, which is in and of itself a construct and so divorced from the vibrational truth of what we're communicating. There are very few languages, Sanskrit, Aramaic being perhaps some of the select few, perhaps a few indigenous languages, I don't know. But there are very few languages that are still alive in our consciousness that are able to truly communicate truth, because the truth isn't actually communicated with the word itself, but the vibration behind it. So my experience is one that's hard to capture with words. Perhaps on the other side of my time away, words will come more easily. But I really wanted to make this video before I go off grid to say thank you. Thank you to everyone that has in some way contributed to my last video, whether that's in a monetary capacity, through so much generosity from the people that connected with my video. There has been an outpouring of support at a financial level. So to each individual that's contributing in that way, thank you, sincerely thank you, because you have enabled the next step to unfold. And hopefully you've received an individual message from me just thanking you for your contribution. With each person's blessing that I received, I also blessed you in return and sent a blessing and a prayer for you individually. So thank you. And I hope that that's felt in your experience, received, amplified. I also want to thank everyone that contributed in terms of comments on the YouTube video. There was a lot of response to that video, which I wasn't expecting. I always find that the videos where I'm very transparent about my process seem to be the videos that take off, or they seem to be the videos that get a lot of traction on my channel. And that's, I think, because we're looking for something real in an ocean of fake. We're looking to feel something. We want to feel what's true and authentic, and we want to connect with other people in a way that feels true and authentic, and not through, a false veneer. And there's so much peacocking, and there's so much masquerading online, and there's even in life, there's so much fallacy and falseness. And it's starving us at a soul level. And I refuse to be part of that. I refuse to be part of any more distortion on this planet. I refuse to contribute to more suffering on this planet. And so the way in a micro level I can contribute to more love is to purify myself of distortion, to come back to what is authentic and true at a heart level for myself, and in my connection with God and the divine. and to live as an embodiment of the truth that I feel and receive. I watched The Passion of the Christ last night for the first time. I don't have any words to convey and communicate what that stirred up within me, affirmed for me, deepened in me, opened in me. I really recommend watching it if you haven't seen it. Yes, at a physical level, it is brutal and it is challenging. Watch it through the eyes of your heart. That will shield you from the physical brutality and the depiction of the brutality, because it's very important that our hearts remember and awaken to the truth of who Yeshua was. And I'm speaking beyond the lens of Christianity here. Only your heart will be able to receive that wisdom if you're ready to receive it. The truth of who Yeshua was, the truth of who Mother Mary was, the truth of who Mary Magdalene was, the truth of the Christed energy, and what Yeshua was truly communicating, which was lost 2,000 years ago and has still unfortunately been lost to most individuals on earth at this time, because we haven't evolved spiritually very much at all in 2,000 years. We're getting there now, slowly. But the guidance I had to receive that film has kind of come off the back of a very significant shift and awakening to the next step. So I just want to share and communicate what that is going to look like, particularly if you've contributed to my fundraiser, which is still open. If you feel a call to contribute based on what I share today, please feel free to. Even if it's £1 or £1.50, that compounded is going to have a significant impact. Even just contributing with likes or comments also really helps the video find people that it's meant for, so thank you. So let's rewind. I posted the last video. I felt incredibly liberated to finally be waking up to the deeper layers of conditioning that I had been living from. And I'm really seeing this echoed in my network, that we are, as a humanity, shedding deeper layers of conditioning, deeper layers of the false idea of who we thought we were, of who we thought we should be. All of these layers of obscurity, all of these layers that obscure the truth of who we are, these are being shed. Deep, deep, deep subconscious and unconscious layers are being shed. And that process is often messy. That process is often destabilizing. That process can often feel chaotic. And it can feel jarring. It can stir up a lot of dormant, unprocessed emotion. So this is actually the first message I want to share today. I want to clarify something. There is a misconception, and it's a very juvenile perspective and vantage point that's held in a lot of New Age spiritual communities, and it's not just confined to the New Age. I've now seen this, especially over the last year and a half, that this is also in established spiritual and religious systems, or people that are very attached to a spiritual or religious system. Anywhere where there is an adherence to an idea about what it means to be a spiritual person, there will always be mistruth. There will always be fallacy. And one of the biggest distortions is this idea, this fallacy, that being on a spiritual path means I only feel love. I only directly experience love. And if I feel or experience any feeling or emotion, sensation that does not feel like love, bliss, ecstasy, peace, I'm doing it wrong, I'm in separation, I'm in low vibration, and I'm not on the spiritual path when I'm experiencing those states. This is such a dangerous and disembodied approach to integrated awakening. The truth of the spiritual path is a paradox. It's a paradox because we are, at an objective, absolute level, impeccable, untouchable, divine, pristine, made in God's image, expressions of the One. And simultaneously we're embodied as humans who feel and experience, who are animated by Shakti, which is contrast and chaos and change and transformation and death and rebirth. All of these things unfold in matter at a material level. The spiritual path in and of itself is a paradox. And so that paradox is asking us to be able to open to hold the tension of opposites, to hold polarity, to be able to both have an awareness of our spiritual, impeccable nature, our divine nature, our loving nature as beings, as spiritual beings, and simultaneously to be able to hold with compassion and presence and tenderness the deeply flawed, fallible, multifaceted aspects of our humanity. So in my last video, I was very raw and authentic with my expression, with expressing my grief, my despair, my pain. And the spiritual invitation is not for us to pretend those things don't exist. That's bypassing. That's people not doing their shadow work. That's not integration, it's avoidance. The spiritual invitation is to say, can you love what's here? Can you love this pain? Can you bring loving, compassionate presence? Can you bring your impeccable, holding spiritual nature to the messiness of your life? I've spoken about this a lot on my channel, a lot, because this is my spiritual path. It's one of integration. So I really want to make this clear because I see this not just in the comments section on my own videos, but across the board when I look at a lot of spiritual content. And I've seen it in communities and networks I've been a part of, that there seems to be a fundamental misunderstanding that to vibrate as love means that we're supposed to be feeling this conditioned idea that we should be feeling love all the time. And if I feel anger, I'm not spiritual. I'm on the wrong path. I'm low vibration. This is bollocks, for, lack of a better word at this point. You would either have to be a psychopath or a genuine embodied living master, of which there are very few on earth at this point, to be able to be in this level of density, to observe what's happening at the collective level, to be a highly sensitive, attuned being, and to feel what the collective is carrying at an unconscious level and processing, and to not be affected by it. It's very normal, if you're a sensitive, embodied, attuned individual, to feel chaos, anger, despair, loneliness, confusion, grief, rage, resentment, bitterness, hopelessness, powerlessness. And our task on a genuine path of integration, spiritual integration, is to be able to simultaneously straddle the holding of those aspects of our humanity, those different fragments, those different parts, and simultaneously to hold the loving awareness that holds those parts, and to be and embody as the loving awareness that holds those parts, to approach those aspects of our humanity with loving awareness. This is what I'm committed to. So when I show up authentically, I do it here and I do it in my everyday life. I'm not ashamed to be a human, a fallible, flawed human, and simultaneously a spiritual being who is beyond the contrast of the human experience, who is untouched, whose essence remains untouched by the human experience. And I understand, at least from my path of self-mastery, that God is asking me to bring my spiritual presence, wisdom, holding love, the loving presence that I feel in my heart, the grace in my heart, and to pour it into my human experience. To hold matter, to hold duality, to hold contrast, to hold Shakti with Shiva, the path of union. So I felt that needs to be said, not because there were tremendous comments suggesting that, I was expressing wrong. There are actually lots of very encouraging comments in that last video, but I want to share and be very clear about my path and what I hope to model to others. I'm not saying this is the only way. I'm not saying it's the right way. This is the way that God has shown me in my heart. This is the way that I feel, having walked a more non-dual transcendental path, which I now view as being actually quite disembodied from the lens that I was approaching it from. I now recognize that my path is here to hold the tension between. It's the and both, the path of and both, not either or. That's the path I'm here to walk. That's the path of union. It's the path of integration. And I feel that it's important to say that, because if you resonate with my content and you resonate with or connect deeply with the essence of the Divine Mother, if you have also been moved deeply by Kundalini Shakti, if you are also moving through a profound awakening to both your divinity and your humanity, then you may also be called to walk a path of integration, which means that it's important not to shame the human experience. When I was watching the Passion of the Christ yesterday, many things struck me. But what struck me was we have this being that is the Christ embodied. We have Mother Mary. We have such immense, spiritually powerful individuals. Yeshua was in suffering in the last 24 hours of his incarnation. Mother Mary was in suffering, watching her son and the living Christ being tortured and crucified. The point I'm making is that Yeshua was and continues to be an example to us, as do other true masters, to walk the path of and both, retaining his spiritual dignity from the perspective and the vantage point of the I am embodied. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Again, so misunderstood, these words. That's an entirely different video. So embodied and aware of the I am presence, but simultaneously acknowledging the suffering that the human vehicle and avatar went through in those, especially in those last 24 hours. Abominable. Beyond comprehension what happened, what he endured, what his avatar endured. So that feels complete. I'm not going to say any more about it. I feel like I've adequately addressed that. Now I'd like to share, after posting that video and feeling this immense shift in energy and this liberation at finally choosing my path, my authentic path, with more conviction, I do what I always do, which is keep my heart open to God and to love, and I ask for wisdom and guidance, and I ask to be directed in the way that's in the highest, recognizing that the contributions that have been made are not just for me at an egoic level yes, they're supporting survival needs at this point, but it's very important because the intention behind this fundraiser was not just, for Tash to go on a holiday. It's so that I can live my purpose as a channel and simultaneously flow the grace that I've received back to this community and back to the wider web in truly tangible ways. So the morning after I posted that video, I was sat in meditation and I heard the wheel of fate is in motion. And I felt this profound shift in the energy. And I'd initially thought, I'm going to India, I'm going to North India, because my soul is also very familiar with the energy there, how pristine it is in the north, in the foothills of the Himalayas, how easy spiritual communion it is for me there at a soul level. But I received different guidance the day that I meditated and asked for clarity. And I received the guidance first. I'm going to just break down how sometimes the world of spirit communicates to us. Sometimes for me it's very direct, like a download, and I get a lot of information very clearly and quickly. Sometimes it's more like a puzzle that needs to be pieced together. So I was first shown Camino de Santiago, which is a spiritual pilgrimage. And that's important. I saw the sign and I saw the south of France where the original pilgrimage begins. And I thought, oh, okay, I'm being asked to go and walk the Camino. Wasn't expecting that, but okay. And I started to kind of allow that to percolate in my system. And then further guidance arrived in my evening meditation. And the guidance was that I'm being asked to embark on a pilgrimage, but it's not the Camino at this point. It's to the south of France, and it's to, I'm going to probably butcher the name, Saint-Bon. I don't speak French. I've got a lot of learning to do. Mary Magdalene's cave in the south of France. And this is the third time I've been directed by God to go to this cave. The first 2 times I didn't go because I was fearful of my financial situation. The first time I heard the call, I was in Morocco. I just finished a women's retreat in October of 2023, teaching and hosting a women's retreat, and I felt that my trip wasn't complete, that I wasn't quite supposed to go home just yet. And so I asked for guidance, and I was shown very clearly, fly to Marseille, go to this cave. And this was like, oh. And you can ask my co-host and one of my dearest friends, I was so intent on going, and then my mind and fear got involved and I got scared. I only had about £1,000 at the time, and I thought it's not enough money to go. I'll go another time. Then I had the call again last year. Circumstances weren't right to go. I'm not going to deny the call a third time. My deepening experience with the mother, in particular, Mother Mary, is very profound at this time. And I know that in Mary Magdalene's cave, and that just the energy of the mother is guiding me to be in deep communion with this energy. So my plan moving forwards now is, as of tomorrow, I'm going to Wales for 6 days to go off-grid and to meditate, to be in spiritual communion, because I cannot do anything else. I need to be. So that's what I'll be doing for the next 6 days. So thank you if you've contributed, because you've allowed that to be possible. I haven't had a prolonged period of time to meditate in silence ever. I don't think I've ever had more than 3 or 4 days. So I've got 6 days. This is huge. So thank you. I will also be on my menstrual cycle, which is the most profound experience for me as of late. My last bleed, I was pulled into the void, and I have no words to describe my experience other than the lies women have been sold about their menstrual cycle have kept us imprisoned for a very long time and disconnected from the power and wisdom of the feminine as the oracle and the visionary and the bridge. So I will be going during my menstrual cycle, and I know it's going to be an incredibly profound time of communion. So thank you for facilitating that. And then towards the end of February, I believe, I'll wait for further guidance, but it is my intention to fly out to the south of France and to take pilgrimage to Mary Magdalene's cave. I don't know details beyond that. All I know is that I'm being redirected to the south of France, not just for this pilgrimage, but with my healing centre work and the temple that my sister Hannah and I, we both co-host the Priestess Society. We've been both redirected to the south of France to set this temple up. My will to thy will at this point. That is not necessarily what I would have chosen at an egoic level, because I don't speak French. I've never been to the south of France before. And yet my soul and the divine grace and love and light that is filling me and my experience every day, the mother is calling her daughters home. And there is a lot of very profound, important, Sophianic, feminine Christ energy, codes, information for us available in this region and in indeed the region of the south of France. There's so much with regards to the Templars and the Cathars. Christed energy is returning to earth, not in the form that most people who are operating from a very conditioned lens expect. But for those of us that have got our hearts open and our third eye open, we see and feel what is emerging at this time on earth. And when I heard the words, the wheel of fate is in motion, in meditation, I felt a timeline of tremendous light, filled with tremendous grace. This would have been maybe on the 4th or 5th, possibly the 5th of Feb, in case that date resonates for you. Just a timeline filled with the Mother's grace, filled with hope, filled with renewal, filled with, I felt the children of the new earth, the sons and daughters of the divine who are choosing to recognize the times we're in and choosing to serve love and choosing to serve truth, choosing to serve the divine with their lives. A tremendous timeline has opened up and is available to us. So if you feel called to support this pilgrimage to the south of France, I'm grateful for it. But either way, I'll be documenting the experience here and sharing what wisdom I gain from that experience with you here. I also had emails and several comments asking about a Patreon community and a membership community. I had planned to launch a membership community in March, but the lens I was going to set that membership up from, it was kind of coming from a slightly different lens and vantage point. Now it's coming from a different place. So I will set up a Patreon, and I'll let you know when that's available. For now, my system needs to stop talking, assimilating external information. I need to be in silence. I need to completely empty, and I need to just have a conversation with God. Deep, deep, deep conversation and communion with God. And I would say that if you're also very finely tuned like me and you're a very highly sensitive being, and I'll create another video about this, but we're moving into a time where our operating system, so to speak, is becoming more finely tuned, and you're going to start increasingly feel the noise and the amount that you're processing at a vibrational level. So it's very important during these times that we give ourselves space to stop receiving external information so that we can actually hear our innate guidance system, and we can actually hear what the divine is guiding us to do and to embody at an individual level. And I can really just feel how absolutely overdue it is for me to just get away, be in nature, alone, without technology, without other external stimulus or input, just me and God. So, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. I feel, I feel the profound times we're in, the profound recognition that I continue to go through each and every day. It's like each and every day becomes a profound day of an awakening on this path. All we can do is stay present, stay open, stay humble, and continue to listen to our guidance if we're on a genuine God-led path. We'll be guided. We'll be guided. We have to trust and stay open and receptive, and we'll be guided. We always are. And it's really important, especially after watching The Passion of the Christ, to remember who and what we're serving. We're serving love. We're here to serve love and truth, the reclamation of sovereignty. The way you do that may look very different to my path. That's okay. It's just making sure that the frequency and architecture is coming from your connection with love and truth and sovereignty. Remember who we serve. Remember what we serve. Remembering that it is our inner orientation, not our external posturing, not our aesthetic and our clothes, not the vocabulary we use, not the circles we hang out with, not the retreats that we attend, not the cacao that we drink, none of that qualifies you to be a person with spiritual integrity. None of those things matter. It's all just posturing. It's all just decoration. It can be nice decoration, but it's empty and it's vapid and it's meaningless if it is not married with deep intentionality and a deep inner orientation towards love and truth in each and every micro moment, and faith. That's the last thing I want to share about faith. I feel that's been one of the most profound teachings in my life so far. That the power of faith, that faith will carry you the whole way. Not belief, faith. Faith is your capacity to be orientated towards the divine, to God, to love, even when you don't see or feel evidence of it. That's faith. I keep seeing the centaur of the Sagittarius archetype. I've got my North Node astrologically in Sagittarius at 29 degrees, so it's quite a pivotal sort of incarnation aspect for me at this point. And the centaur's got his bow and arrow aimed towards the cosmos. And to me, there's many things that I could say about that archetype, but that imagery of the bow and arrow raised towards the cosmos is very indicative of my relationship with faith, because I feel that my soul is sort of always pointing me towards the divine, even when I enter states of forgetfulness, even when I become identified with the parts that feel separate. My orientation is always towards faith, even when I don't feel that profound love that I was speaking about earlier, that we think we should always be feeling in order to be spiritual. It is faith that will carry you back to God, back to truth, back to love, when you fall into states of forgetfulness, when you're when the truth is veiled from you, or you fall into the slumber of unconsciousness again, as we do on our journey. It's not to be shamed. It's just being aware that that's what happens. Faith becomes your tether to something higher. It becomes the thread that will carry you through every single experience you have, whether that experience is one of love and bliss, whether that experience is one of deep grief and pain. Faith will carry you through. And that's one thing about my journey and my path that I feel very embodied in, that I can go through a lot of contrasting, painful experiences, and I do, and I'm human, and my path has been one full of contrast. And a lot of suffering, a lot of which I've chosen the suffering of, but still a lot of suffering. And yet what has carried me through has been my faith, has been to know and choose God over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, even when life may seemingly be presenting me with the opposite of what feels like love and truth and God's presence. Because I understand that the physical is not the truth. I understand that this is illusion, that the truth of God remains unwavering within my heart.